What's up, guys? This one's a little overdue, but let's get straight to it, shall we? Insidious Chapter 2. I reviewed the first one, I'd say like 3 weeks ago, maybe? Maybe even a month, I don't know. But this is the second chapter. I like all the Insidious films. I watched The Last Key only once. I'll be watching it for a second time and reviewing that one as well. However, I don't own it on a physical copy. It is streaming on Netflix, so I'm probably just going to watch it there. But 1 to 3 I bought, and 1 and 2 I love. 3 I used to think was really good. Like maybe even better than the first two, but this time around I actually preferred the first two a lot more. So this one I gave a 3.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd, and they're kind of neck on neck with like 1 and 2 are chapters 1 and 2 are pretty much neck on neck. So this continues the story, of course, with Josh and Renee, played by Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne. And of course you got Lynn Shay in here, which again, it makes no sense that they killed her in the first film. I'm going to be spoiling these films, obviously, because they're not super new, and it says right on the title, spoiler reviews. So I like the beginning of this film where they show a flashback to 1986, and they use an actress playing young Lynn Shay, or young Elise, but they use Lynn Shay's voice as a voiceover, which I find really cool. It really adds a nice touch to show, who's who kind of thing, so you don't get confused with the timeline jumps. And it's cool because the actress looks like a Lynn Shay, and the fact that they use Lynn Shay's voice just adds to that. And it gives a backstory of when Josh was a boy and how he already has been haunted by these entities since he was a child. Now this raises a question for me on why in chapter 1 was he so skeptical and so non-believing of ghosts and spirits and entities if he was dealing with them as a child and actually dealing with them. Like, you could say that he always thought his mother was crazy or whatnot, and he never believed it as a child, but he was actually experiencing it as a child, as is told through this film. Like, that's the whole point of chapter 2. It's showing Josh's story kind of thing, and how he had this entity kind of chasing him and following him throughout his childhood, and then obviously it came back when he was an adult and married and had children and followed to his own son. So the fact that he was still skeptical in chapter 1 is kind of weird, but it is what it is. So these entities, I really like the entities a lot better, the way they're portrayed in chapter 2, like way better. They look a lot creepier. The old woman, or it's technically a guy, but the old woman, quote unquote, and the little boy's mother when he was a child. What was his name? Parker. Parker, and then his mother wanted to name him Marilyn and make him grow up as a girl. And the mother's psychotic, man. Like, the actress that portrayed her did a really good job making her absolutely insane, because the way she yells and screams at her son, and when she's making him like dress as a girl and act like a girl and all that, and forcing him to call himself Marilyn, and talk like a girl and actually believe that he's a girl, is crazy. And when it shows who he became as an adult, as a psychotic killer kind of thing, like before he became an evil entity kind of thing, I found that really cool. But these entities, as cool as they look, they just want, like, it's explained that they just chase people for life to get out of this darkness, this dark world, which is basically purgatory, which they call the Further. So the Further is basically purgatory. The Further looks great. Again, I would say even better than the first one, like chapter 1. And all of the cinematography is one thing that I took on my notes. that is exceptional in this film. Now, of course, you get those two Ghostbuster guys back, and a lot of people like them as comic relief, and a lot of people appreciate the humor that they bring and their characters because it adds an element to the rest of the film and the rest of the mood of the film. I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. And I think it doesn't fit. You don't need Ghostbusters in such a creepy film such as Insidious. It takes away the vibe completely. It doesn't add comic relief. It ruins the kind of film that this is going for. I hate it. I hate these characters so much. They can be funny in another film, but they don't belong in Insidious. I just can't wrap my mind around it and understand what James Wan or Leigh Whannell were going for. I know James Wan wrote the three of them, I'm pretty sure. But, and Leigh Whannell plays one of them, so, but I can't get behind it. I just can't. I don't like these characters at all. But that's just me, and everybody's going to differ. If you agree with me, you can let me know in the comments if you think that they're perfect in the film and the film wouldn't be the same without them. It is what it is. Their whole Hunter Ninja Bear thing, like, get the fuck out of here. It's just stupid humor. It's like they just remind me of these Ghostbuster wannabe characters that would belong in a spoof film, but not in Insidious. Why would you add spoof to Insidious? I don't know. Whatever. There's a scene where a film that I like called Carnival of Souls is playing in like on a TV in the background. I found that was cool because I like when I recognize films in films. It's weird. Like, it's cool that they bring Elise back in these films and they find ways to do so, but it's still kind of weird that she has to spend all her time in the further, and she's dead and in purgatory and whatnot. So it's kind of I'm iffy on that, but at least they bring her back and find cool ways to bring her back that makes sense, which is good as the films go on. There's a hospital scene again with a flashback in 1986 involving an old man, and that's one of the creepiest scenes in the whole franchise, I would say. That scene is terrifying. The flashbacks were good, like between 1986 and present day. I loved how they connected Chapter 1 to what was going on in the further in Chapter 2 in parallel universes that combined. So a lot of the things that were confusing that Josh, played by Patrick Wilson, was doing in Chapter 1 when it came to like why he left the door open, or why he didn't unlock a certain door or lock a certain door, stuff like that he was doing in Chapter 1, they really connect it with what he's doing in the further in Chapter 2 and how the dimensions blend with each other. That was really cool and very, very smart on the writing part, on James Wan's part. I liked that aspect a lot, and I like when not only films go with the continuity, but find really interesting ways to connect the films to make them really feel like a franchise and give them marathon value kind of thing, where you do want to watch them over and over, from start to finish, every, however long. So not only does it give each film rewatch value, it gives the entire franchise rewatch value to watch it as a whole. So I really liked how they did that, and they did a really good job with writing that. Like I said, the ghosts are creepier than they were in the first, or the entities, whatever you want to call them. I liked the introduction of Elise's husband. I think he's a very cool character. They built him very well. You can see, even though they don't spend a lot of time with each other, they're always separate. You can see the chemistry built within them, especially when they backtrack to 1986 and show kind of how they met, and just the chemistry they share with each other is really, it's subtle, but it's shown without saying much, which I found really cool. Props to the writing again. James Wan is a phenomenal writer. Other than adding the Ghostbuster characters for whatever reason he wanted to, hey, it fits for a lot of people. Obviously, it fits for him. He was going for something. Um, I just don't see what it is. That's all. That's my opinion. Um, and the whole character study with Josh, how he kind of gets possessed by the entity of this psychotic boy that grew up thinking he's a girl and raised by a psychotic mother. Um, Patrick Wilson plays crazy really, really well. He's terrifying. He's threatening. He's very threatening, just even with his facial expressions, let alone with his, you know, mannerisms and um, violent tendencies when he's possessed. And he really portrays a danger well where, like, you feel it as an audience. You're tense watching it. You know, you care about the safety of everybody around him, and you really root for him too in getting rid of this, or you root for everybody kind of trying to get this demon out of him, kind of thing. Um, but the like his acting chops is really, really good in portraying this evil side of him. A lot of people, from like reviews and stuff that I've seen, didn't like that direction, especially in the third act where he becomes full-fledged possessed. But I like it. I like this film, like I said, as much as the first. A lot of people say it took a step down. A lot of reviewers say it took a step down. I don't agree with that. I really like them completely equally, and I really don't like the elements that I've already mentioned completely equally in both films. Um, and I think this film would be perfect just staying at the creepy level. Um, you know, it could be that some audiences need a little bit of a break when it comes to intensity. And that's why a lot of filmmakers decide to add some, you know, comedic scenes here and there just to lighten the mood a little bit. But because this film is so good and does such a good job at its creep factor, I just think it wasn't, it could fit in a different film, like I said, but it just doesn't fit in this one, in my personal opinion. Lin Shaye, of course, kills it. She kills it in every Insidious film. This is her franchise. Like, this is Lin Shaye's franchise. Again, why did they kill her in the first film if it was her franchise? Maybe they didn't expect her to take off or her to own these films as much as she did with her presence, but it happened, so maybe they shot themselves in the foot, or maybe they didn't, because clearly they wrote her in still very well, like I said already. I like the way the little kids, the two sons, the two brothers, communicate through tin cans. I find that sweet, and you can really see their bond together. Chapter one of them is in a coma for pretty much the entire film, until the, like, last 5 minutes of it. So in this one, being that they're both, you know, functioning normally, and in the real world, their bond is nice to see them as brothers and, like, communicating from, like, different rooms or whatnot through these cans. It's nice to see. I like that. I like how Josh from the further tries to connect with his wife by playing the song that she wrote for him, and because throughout the film the piano starts to play by itself, and it keeps playing the song that Renee wrote for her husband Josh, and you're always wondering why, why that song, why does the piano keep playing the song that she wrote over and over again, and then it reveals that that's Josh trying to reach out to her. So I find that cool. I found that cool. That's about it. That's pretty much all I have for notes. Like I said, I think the villains especially, the crazy mother entity, and then her son who grew up to be a woman because of her, because of her psychoticness. They were really in depth villains and really well written villains, I think. It's cool how they started the film too, with Josh being the primary suspect for obvious reasons, of murdering Elise, and everything kind of points to him clearly. But they really took that and built a really, really neat story with it, and carried on a perfect second chapter of this franchise, I would say. So that's all I got for this one. Chapter 3 is coming soon, and then I'm going to be watching The Last Key, Chapter 4, and reviewing that as well. So until then, that's Chapter 2 of Insidious. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews, and there will be more. So until next time, take care, and cheers.